Okay, so I've got one more video that I wanted to make because I realized that when I put up the tag of questions for Reborn collectors, that I didn't answer some of the questions. So it's only fair that I answer them as well. I thought it would be kind of fun. Also, from now on, when you guys do it, I mean, you can totally leave out the part about the box swaps because I've pretty much gotten the answer about what the box swaps are and whatever. Yeah, so I will start and I'm going to try and do this as quick as I can. Why do you collect? Okay, so collecting started when I was a kid. I loved dolls. I got a Cabbage Patch doll and then it just got evolved from there. I had lots of dolls as a child. Loved playing with them. I've always been very nurturing and caring and motherly, and so it just came naturally to me to play with dolls when I was a kid. Always loved them and never really outgrew it. When I was a teenager, I used to play with my Cabbage Patch in my bedroom sometimes with the door closed because I didn't want anyone to know that I still played with dolls because I was a little embarrassed about it, but I always loved it. And then I had the Baby Think It Over doll in high school. Sorry, I'm having a smoothie. Yeah, so I had a Baby Think It Over doll in high school for a weekend, and I absolutely loved it. And so years later, I decided to look into getting one of my own. Found out the company didn't sell to the public, but that they had a sister company called Neonates that sold dolls made from the same mold, and they had non-electronic version or an electronic version that was similar to the Baby Think It Over, but not quite. And so I kind of just settled for that at that time, and I took that, and then that started my adulthood collecting, because from there I discovered Ashton Drake dolls, and I got, an Ashton Drake Jasmine Goes to Grandma, Charlie, and Lullaby for Olivia. And then from there I discovered Reborns and got into them, and I ordered my first Reborn. Oh, and for a brief time around that time that I discovered Reborns, there was a very brief period where the company that made the Baby Think It Overs were selling to the public, sort of, kind of, because the Neonates had closed down. I guess they didn't do well, so they had closed down. But so I had contacted the office in Mississauga. I made up a big story saying that my fiance and I wanted to see what it would be like to be parents before we get married and see how we work together and blah, blah, blah. And that my fiance didn't have experience with infants, blah, blah, blah. And they bought it hook, line, and sinker. And I ordered a Real Care doll and sold my neonate because they looked identical, and I knew I would use the Real Care more, and the Real Care was so expensive that I just couldn't justify keeping both of them. So I sold the neonate. Then, like I said, from there I got my first Reborn doll, and I also bought a Reborn kit, and then my friend taught me how to Reborn, and it's just gone from there. I've been making Reborns since 2008 now, and yeah, and I only bought a Reborn by another artist recently. That's the second one I've bought in years because I made a couple for myself. But so yeah, basically I collect because I enjoy it. I'm nurturing, so it's natural for me, and I just love holding them, and they're calming. I find them very calming, which helps when I'm not feeling well, and it just kind of temporarily kind of fills a void until I can have a child of my own. How do you afford your hobby? Well, Alex and I'm pretty good with my money. Both of us are. We have a financial advisor we work with, and she's told us that we're the rare few our age who are debt free. So I'm happy that we're debt free. That's fantastic. We budget. We put a certain aside every month for bills, as well as we put a certain amount every month into savings for a house. And then whatever is left over from each of our paychecks after all of that is for us to do with as we please. And so, yeah, I think we get about, I don't know, 200 each a month or something like that. But, so I mean, I save, that, and yeah, and I mean, not to say that I don't spend all of that money on my hobby. You know, I buy craft supplies as well, or if I need clothes, or you know, whatever, if I want to get food when I'm out, like I use my spending money for all different things, not just the reborns. And how do you justify the amount you spend? I don't know why I put that question there, because I don't really like it anymore. I don't see why anyone would have to justify it, because as long as you're using money that you have and you're not spending beyond your means, I don't see why you would have to justify it. On average, how much per month do you spend? You know what? I honestly have no idea. I really should try to like keep track of that just to see. I'm curious. But I try my best not to spend too much. I've got to slow down on my shopping because of the trip coming up, and we need a new mattress and things like that. So usually when other things take priority, then you know I have to stop shopping for clothes and whatever. How do you keep up with the babies and all the clothes? It's hard to keep up with the babies. They don't get changed all that often due to lack of energy and joint pains and whatnot. The clothes, I'm in the process of weeding out a lot of clothes that I no longer want, so that I can store them properly, so they're not all like smushed into places. Yeah, I always try to do that like at least once every season, because I switch over their clothes every season. I try to get rid of like clothes. Like if they haven't worn certain things that season, then I'll say, okay, do I really need to keep it or can it go? Do your babies share outfits or have their own? A couple, they always used to share. But recently I've noticed like certain outfits look better on some more than others. So I've now kind of like divvied up the dresser drawers into categories belonging to each doll. And what I'm going to do is make up some little tags to stick in between where the rows are. I'll show you when I finally finish and do a new nursery tour. But that's how I'll keep track of whose is whose. And Grace is easy because she's the only toddler here, so all her clothes are in their own space. Yeah, and so I pretty much answered the next question about how do I remember which outfit is for which baby. What's the favorite part of this hobby? I love, obviously I love buying new things for them, like outfits, because I love dressing them up and cuddling them and taking the pictures. I like taking them out. I just wish I had the guts to do it more often. I also like the fact that I've met a lot of new friends in the past year or so that due to this hobby. Yeah, where do you find the courage to take your babies out in public? I don't really have much courage to do it. The only thing that's helped is that I make them. And so because I make them, I can kind of pull it off as my way of advertising, and so people seem to accept that more. Does my family think? They think I'm talented. They love the work I do. My grandmother loves the babies, which is funny because I didn't think she would, because she always used to like say I had baby things in my bedroom at home, and she always says like I'm too old to still be listening to Backstreet Boys. So I always thought, oh my God, I always kept it from her, the dolls, because I thought, oh my God, I'll never hear the end of it. But the first time that she came over to like see our new apartment, and she saw the Reborn that I had made. She was like, "Oh, what's this?" And when I explained to her, she just couldn't believe that I made it. And so now I'm she's the first person, like, she always has to see the new babies that I make. I always have to bring them to her. What do my friends think? They don't care. Whatever makes me happy. We've always been about being ourselves and do what makes us happy. And so, yeah, I'm sure they think it's kind of odd because it's not their thing, but they don't care. And I asked the question about how do you film shopping trips without people seeing or hearing you, because I genuinely wanted to get some tips on that, because I get like really, really nervous. I'd love to do more vlogs with shopping trips and outings and stuff, but I get so nervous. I don't know why. I just get like self-conscious. How old am I? I am 31. Have you ever had mean comments about being too old to play with dolls? My mom at the beginning, but she's come around. I guess that's pretty much it. And that's it. I'm not going to answer the box swap thing, but yeah. So those are my answers. And actually, that reminds me, I didn't really ask it, but let me know in the comments, how often do you change your baby's outfits? Because I've always been curious about that, especially some of you out there who have way more dolls than I do, and I can barely keep up. But yeah, how often do you change your dolls? And do you tend to like change all of them in one day, or do you do it over a period of time? Or do you choose like one specific baby to spend a day with? Or, you know, how do you interact or play with your dolls? All right, talk to you later.